Okay, guys, so we're going to just look at questions of travel briefly here. So she's written this poem um, when she decided to stay in Brazil. So she became the resident as opposed to the tourist. Um, and towards the end of the poem, after her description of travel and our experience as tourists, she questions our need to travel at all. Like, why do we even bother? Why must we dream our dreams and have them too? Wouldn't it be better to have stayed at home and thought of here? So she questions why we do what we do and what that means about us. So she looks at focusing on the moment here. There are too many waterfalls here. And the poem starts almost complaining with the level of beauty, the sibilance of the water flowing over the edges. They spill over the sides in soft, slow motion. So the sibilant effect highlights the almost weeping nature of how Bishop feels that she's not necessarily having this moment where she can learn about herself, but instead she has to share it with all these tourists who come to visit. And she, I suppose, requests or demands or looks to try to see, are there ways in which we can experience other cultures without being the tourist in these, as she says, strangest of theaters, where we're what need is it in us to see the world from the other way around, where we must continue to travel and to see things, and these things are always delightful, how they are continuously appealing and they are continuously enjoyable, but it's almost like we're ticking things off a bucket list, for example. So when she says, oh, must we dream our dreams and have them too, there is something almost sad about it, because she looks at how we have this list of things we want to achieve, and the achieving of the dream is not necessarily as wonderful as having the dream itself and having something to work towards. If you have your dream, where do you go from here? What's next? So she criticizes that idea of the need that people have to have their dream, to dream their dreams and have them too. But the poem highlights the thought processes that she has. It's a stream of consciousness. It's asking us our views as well. She's not dictating to us. She's not telling us to think a certain way. She's outlining information and asking, or experiences, and asking for us to engage with it. So why do we do what we do? And she's asking us to really reflect on our behavior and why we act the way we do. So she references the French philosopher Blaise Pascal, who said that man's unhappiness ultimately stems from his inability to sit quietly in a room. And there's something very modern about that thought. It's very contemporary. We talk a lot about mindfulness and being mindful and I suppose being happy with your own company, and never more so now, I suppose. But she brings that idea back to her idea about home and that constant need that she has for home, and to identify what that is. And because of her experience of moving around a lot as a young child, she has an inability to really fully understand what home is and what the trappings of home are. And then that leads her to question further why people travel. Like, why would you leave home in order to see all these things? Why can't you just stay at home? And she says, should we have stayed at home and thought of here? And that idea of, is it better for us to just observe and keep our distance and think of other places instead of forcing ourselves on them, on these tourist areas, on these different parts of the world, and on these cultures? So they are some key thoughts from this poem.